So, hey guys, today we're going to be talking about synergy, specifically synergy between more or less two different archetypes or decks, whatever you want to consider them as. So, for example, one of my favorites was when I found the synergy between Memento and Altergeist. So the synergy here, pretty sick, pretty cool. It does relatively a lot. I mean, it wasn't like good in the competitive sense, but I mean, I thought the fact that these two different archetypes being able to play so well together was pretty surprising, pretty cool. But yeah, so without getting too into it, I guess, just in general with the synergies, what's really problematic here is that, well, if I don't open the Altergeist part of my deck with the Memento part, you won't really see the synergy and I'll just be playing Altergeist by itself or Memento by itself. And that's one way synergies could go, right? Because you just don't open that part of your deck, so you just can't do the thing. So in this case, the equivalent of this could be like you're running the adventure engine with whatever, right? The adventure engine pretty much never goes into anything by itself, right? So we go right of Aramis and then it's pretty much just going to be Wandering Griffin Rider Pass. Well, that's all it can really do by itself, and it doesn't really go into any other engines. I mean, you can technically convert the token to a normal monster, or not normal monster, convert it to an effect monster, and then make like Moon, and then go Fiendsmith combo from there, and go into anything, pretty much, right? That type of thing does somewhat exist, but for the most part, if we're playing this like relatively normally, yeah, we'll just not be able to do anything with the adventure stuff. But let's say, for example, we actually have Therian cards now with our adventure cards, so there's no way to really bridge from like Therian to adventure stuff or vice versa. But if you open both of them, both aspects of the deck, then you have the idea of like Lily Brea effect to send the the Kant spell, the Draco back, and then it'll reset itself. And that's a cool little synergy. There's also the fact that with your Rite of Aramasir and your continuous spell, the other one, the Fateful Adventure, I believe, that can send a card to search the Griffin Rider or whatever, right? That can be used to put your Therian cards in the graveyard, so you're able to special summon your Therian monsters from your hand, which is pretty cool and pretty useful synergy. So there's moderate synergy between both of these kind of archetypes, I guess, or elements of your deck. But okay, what if I don't open this? Then I play solo Therian, or what if I don't open Therian? Then I just play solo Adventure, right? But then, of course, there's going to be the kind of decks that can kind of bridge from one side to the other, I guess, right? So this would be, let's see. I guess Punk is pretty good at this, relatively good. So I don't think we can make this one, right? Because this requires a Psychic Tuner. Yeah, no. But if we did have a Psychic deck, you know, we could pretty feasibly use Punk to go into a lot of different things. Noticeably because we have a field spell here for Punk, and you can easily access like Ancient Fairy Dragon, and then you technically go ahead and make Jam Dragon Drive with a different kind of engine. So it kind of depends, I guess, on what's available to you here. I think that there was like a little bit of a better example, right? Yeah, it was Fiendsmith U Bell was a little bit better for this. So you open the Lotus, you can go into Moon, and then you can go into the Fiendsmith stuff from the U-Bell stuff. And from Fiendsmith stuff, you can go into the U-Bell stuff because you can go Foolish Burial, the D-Lotus, and then bring this back with like Muckraker, for example. So we have two different, I guess, ways that, well, two different categories of decks that synergize, right? We have those that can go into the other element. So in this case, we can go from Yubel to Fiendsmith and from Fiendsmith to Yubel. But with like Memento, there's no real way for me to go, well, like no reasonable way at least, I don't think, to go from Memento to Altergeist or Altergeist to Memento. So this sucks in some regards because certain combinations of cards and certain archetypes will never be playable together because you have no way to bridge, right? But if you have too many ways to bridge, then we have this like mess where technically everything bridges. So if we have to open the things, I feel like it's not as bad. I mean, it sucks in some regards where, oh, I can't do the thing because I just didn't open the card, right? So that sucks, but playing against an archetype where you just have everything, right? And access to everything, that feels miserable in a whole new different way. So we have like Mitsurugi, for example. So you do your Mitsurugi stuff, sure, right? And then you can go into your Fiendsmith stuff. And then your Fiendsmith stuff can actually go into your Yubel stuff, which your Yubel stuff can also go into the Fiendsmith stuff, which allows you to go into the Mitsurugi stuff. But then, you can also use the, let's say, Mitsurugi stuff to go into what's the dumbest thing I can go ahead and bridge into here. Let's see. Rank 8s, I guess? What's a dumb rank 8 thing I can just go ahead and kind of bridge into from here? Uh, Oh, I know. The dumbest thing I think would be if we made Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord isn't quite it. It would be probably because none of this actually really locks you significantly. I mean, the Yubel stuff can kind of get locked, but yeah, we'll just go into Divine, Golden Shadow Dragon, Dragluxion, and then from here we just go into whatchamacallit, Galaxy. Yeah, the fact that you can do this, like, it's feasible, not really arguably reasonable, but you know, you can bridge from like this to that, and you can kind of ping pong from this to that, and that to this. I think this is a bit disgusting and a bit degenerate for a lot of different reasons. But, well, one aspect that's really annoying, I guess, that we can start with is how long would this deck like take to do its turn one, man? Like to go from normal summon Lotus to like Mitsurugi combo and Fiendsmith, so it would be like this goes into this, goes into this, and then you finally end by wrapping up with this and going into like Divine Golden Shadow Dragon or Dragluxion for whatever reason. And then your opponent just has to more or less deal with it. Was there a lock on this even? No. There's no lock here, is there? Well, okay then. So you could technically start with this as well, and then normal summon like Lotus, maybe? Like maybe we can throw in Horus as well. Like, just cause into this like theoretical monstrosity of a deck. Not a really big fan of this one, but if it works, I guess it works. For whatever reason. So we have the idea here of just way too much synergy, or just not even necessarily synergy. So in this case, what do these cards realistically do with one another? Well, nothing, right? You just bridge from one thing to another, and then you just drop them on your end board. There's no like real synergy here. With like, for example, I guess if we were playing, what we'll say, Memento with, let's say, Unchained, there's actually a few ideas you could do with this, technically, right? So you have like Unchained Soul Lord of Yama has actually an effect to pop, so you can use this to destroy one of your own cards, and using this you can trigger some things, so that could be fun, you know. So noticeably with a Memento, you have one really good card to destroy off of this, like one or two, I guess. You have technically Akirin and Horn Dragon, but I prefer Horn Dragon here because if you destroy Horn Dragon, you can destroy a 3 face-up cards on the field, right? So it'll be one of your cards, one of the Memento ones, and then 2 of your opponent's face-up cards, preferably, would be when you would be doing this. But yeah, you could do that. And because these monsters are just monsters in general, and with the Unchained cards here, this is going to be some synergy, like moderate. We can go, like, this combo will get a little bit crazy, but idea. Unchained Soul of Rage gets popped by Escape of the Unchained, and this will trigger, and then this will also trigger, so we bring back Unchained Soul of Rage, okay? And this will also add a card from our graveyard to our hand, so in this case, maybe that'll be a Sharvara. Maybe it'll be, like, something. It doesn't really matter too much what that something is, but just remember that we add a card off of this, and then this will trigger, like, the Horn Dragon in this window, maybe, right? And we also reborn the Soul of Rage, so we can utilize it again. So then we'll make whatever Link monster that's convenient. So I guess for this example, we'll say we make SP Little Knight, okay? And then we'll SP Little Knight banish one of our opponent's cards, and we'll also link off one of our opponent's cards with Soul of Rage. Then we're not, maybe we will use the SP effect to banish itself plus another card, or banish one of our cards plus one of our opponent's cards. But we can maybe use SP effect if we care, but if we don't, remember that we added a card with our Unchained Soul of Rage, right? We can also add another card with our Creation King. So right here, this guy, when we special summon either, it'll be Gaddock or Anguish. So Anguish searches, Gaddock adds a card from our graveyard to our hand. Either way, this actually gives us 2 monsters in hand for our Memento Lin Fusion, which we can then use to make a Guardian Chimera. And if we add specifically Sharvara from our graveyard to our hand, this will once again trigger Sharvara, so that we can then, in this case, maybe we'll set another Escape of the Unchained, or we can set, I guess, like Abominable Chamber of the Unchained, which allows us to bring back an Unchained monster to kind of do some Unchained stuff with, I guess. So that's synergy, right? And, you know, I could probably get more into the potential synergies that these 2 archetypes have, but okay, what's the synergy with any of these cards? We drop negates, I guess, with Drakeluxion. That's a thing. Phantom of Yubel. It doesn't really interact with anything else here on your board. I guess you prevent some of your monsters from being destroyed by battle because you have like Nightmare Pain. And then like you'll have a Yubel at pretty much all times, so your opponent just won't be able to battle into your pretty much indestructible by battle like Mitsurugi monsters, because a lot of the small Mitsurugi monsters have battle protection kind of effects like hidden in their text. So that's a thing. Also, these guys like super easily reborn themselves, so that wasn't much of a problem to begin with, anyways. But where is the synergy here? Absolutely nowhere. You just bridge everywhere. I mean, of course, there are some decks where you bridge and also have synergy, which I think is pretty cool. So, for example, like with Pong, you can actually technically bridge into the gimmick puppet cards, because there's a rank 8 that you can make here, and the reborn effect and the traps, you can use them with the punk cards in a somewhat creative way. So I could bounce back hand traps with like Amazing Dragon. I can steal a monster from my own graveyard, kind of. So I reborn a monster from my graveyard onto your field, and then I'll steal it back on the next turn. That's a thing I can do, right? And that's like complementary. But here you're just slapping add-ons, bro. So I guess you could say that this is like DLC pretty much, right? Whereas, there's synergy here, you know, it feels like, I don't know how to put it exactly, like, hmm, how would I describe this? Like, they're both technically add-ons, but one of them is like, I would say an improvement, whilst the other one, you're just slapping extra stuff, where it has absolutely no synergy. It's like, I don't know, what's a horrible combination? Maybe like, hmm, what would be a horrible combination with peanut butter? I don't know, whatever that would be. You're just slapping like peanut butter on top of something that peanut butter doesn't really go well with, and then here we have like PB and J versus like just slapping peanut butter on. I don't know, what's the worst thing that you'd slap peanut butter on? I mean, like peanut butter is like not that horrendous, is it? Uh, maybe Google is the answer here. Maybe because now that I'm committed to this analogy, I gotta see it through. Uh, I guess I'll search bad peanut butter combinations. I guess. Uh, Sweet potato, peanut butter, hot honey, and cinnamon is an absolute gem. Oh, wait, that's good. Apparently good. No. Uh, Savory things that are acidic, so pickles. Pickles and peanut butter apparently is terrible. I'll just take the AI overviews. Normally don't use the AI overview, but don't want to spend too much time on this right now. But all right. So I guess yeah, it's like the difference between these two would be like I'm just you have pickles and then you just put peanut butter on it versus PB and J. Yeah, they're both technically additive in the sense that you've put more here onto whatever I guess your dish is here, your meal, whatever. Uh, but one of them is going to be additive, the other is just going to be extra. Oh, well, that wasn't that hard. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.